like you said, PETA is here in the headquarters, and it's just it's really you're almost fighting them to get away from the shock value interactions, because that does not work on anybody. It didn't work on me. It doesn't work on a little kid seeing a video like Anonymous and stuff. It's like a little kid seeing how hamburgers made. It just scares them, and it makes you kind of the enemy because you showed them something that scared them.
I'm gonna counter that. I'm gonna disagree with you.
No, please do. I am open to counterpoints.
I know you can handle it. And I know, sure, PETA has that.
Do you?
That rap.
Can I? Are we like that?
Yeah. Yeah, right. Come on, this is cool.
Hold on. Let me get my keyboard. Let me get my keyboard fingers ready.
That's right. Let me get my keyboard going. I'm gonna send you scathing messages. Just no, but I know, sure, PETA has that rap, right? A lot of people feel that way. But then again, some people would say all press is good press. We all know PETA is a household name. We all know about PETA. But I will say, like, I have a dear friend of mine, Jamie in Baltimore, and I believe it was PETA with their shock tactics that converted her to veganism a long time ago. And for me, as a kid, what really struck a chord with me was seeing very graphic imagery of animals in slaughterhouses and so forth. It sickens me. It sickens me to this day. And actually, my tolerance, my ability to watch that kind of footage has decreased over the years. I'm like, I already know. Don't make me look. Don't make me look. But as a kid, when I first saw that stuff, that it scared me. It horrified me. It sickened me. But I got it. I'm like, I don't want to be a part of that. And of course, my brain can never unsee that stuff. So I think it takes all kinds, like you were saying. It does take all different approaches.
Like you said, you were a kid. Like how old? Like teenager? What age range roughly?
I would say no, younger than that. Like I went vegan in 1994, but I was vegetarian long before that, as a kid. But no, oh God, how old was I? I don't know. Younger than a teenager.
Right on.
Maybe a tween, whatever that is, or slightly younger, but younger than a teenager. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I actually went vegetarian when I was about 12. So it was maybe 12 and before when I really started to see that stuff. Right. It just sickened me.
Now, was anyone in your family vegetarian, vegan? Did they support you?
Well, here's the thing. And I will forever love and appreciate my parents for this. I just think it speaks to them as humans that they weren't like, Kirsten, no, you better eat your meat. How can you have any pudding if you don't eat your meat? They were never like that, probably because I was a chubby little kid and they had to be like, Kirsten, you've had enough. But when I switched to vegetarianism, they were like, okay. And then I would rip out sheets of, actually it was the Animals Agenda magazine. Before I started working there, I was familiar with it, and I would pull out articles and stick them on the refrigerator. And one was like, I would call my dad a tuna killer because he really loved tuna. And my parents took that shit from me, man. They took it. And better yet still, they didn't just blindly like, oh, okay. Their minds were open to it, to learning more, to reading about it. My parents are vegetarian to this day, and they became vegetarian when I was a kid, following my, harassment, my persecution. But we used to go to animal rights conferences together. We'd fly to animal rights conference. Those were my rock star heroes, dude. I mean, growing up in LA, and my dad was a TV critic, and we'd come across, and anybody in LA, you're going to come across celebrities. And we'd go to the Emmy Awards and this and that and whatever. I see stars all the time. Oh, that's cool, interesting. But man, to meet like Ingrid Newkirk, Alex Pacheco, these people, these were the rock stars, the heroes. Those were the ones where I was just like, oh my God, there goes Ingrid. I was just still to this day. I mean, they are my heroes, all these people.
Yeah, the Bruce Dickinsons of animal activists.
Totally. Totally. So yeah,
Yeah.
see, I get very fired up on this topic. Very
Right
fired
on.
up.
I hoped you would.
What I'm kind of gathering it like, you know, we have both sides of the coin of like, how do we go about getting people to acknowledge this stuff? And it's like, I'm a big believer in that different things for different people will
Yeah.
be more effective. Like, you know, you said that the shock marketing kind of struck a chord with you. And then I hear other people saying that that totally turns them off. But then, like Xeus, for example, you get turned on to it by just learning more and being inspired about it. You just woke up one day and made the decision for your own reasons. And so, you know, I'm kind of like slowly migrating in that direction as well. And like, even just making better choices with non-vegan options. Like I get all my eggs now from someone down the street that just has their own chickens that are roaming around doing chicken stuff instead of
Right.
shoved in a box somewhere. And
Right.
I think for me, meeting and hearing from other like you know, vegans or vegetarians or people making, basically people that are health conscious, and seeing what inspires them and hearing their stories also inspires me to make those different choices and stuff. So I think letting people have their own journeys, however that needs to happen, is the important part. You know, do everything you can, let people make their own moves, and then anybody who's smart and paying attention is going to make the right choice, you know.
Sure. Yeah, and there's so many facets to it. It appeals to different aspects of everybody's psyche. So we could get into a whole podcast on the environmental reasons why a plant
Sure.
sustainability, you know,
Yeah. World hunger.
right? Resources, like all these things. You know, there's people. The reason why the a-hole factor is so high with some vegans is the narcissism. People that are so focused on themselves and their health. Well, if you eat just plants, you aren't going to have an ounce of fat on your body. You can be this like self-centered model-esque, you know, featured physical specimen, and you're not going to get that eating cheeseburgers and bacon and, you know, chicken.
Unless you're
chicken breast.
eating deep fried plants, because I sure ate a lot of deep fried plants.
Right. Well, whole foods. Let me specify.
No, I'm kidding you.
Food
I totally get it.
Depends on what you're frying it in. I mean, I'm sure if you fried it in something non-processed, it's not terrible-ish.
Right. Hey, man, I just bought an air fryer. I'm not kidding. I just got an air fryer.
I learn every day how to cook something different, from vegetables. I haven't been able to do like rice and stuff yet. I use a veggie steamer now for rice, which my Asian relatives are spinning in their graves because I don't use a rice cooker to cook my rice. But yeah, I've now perfected air frying tofu, and I've eaten it every day now for like 5, 6, or 7 days. And it was hard. Like I've not ever been huge on tofu. Like I would do tofu like egg salad. You know, I would eat like 5 pounds of that because it tastes just like egg salad. You know, if you were into that sort of thing. But air frying, you know, tofu spiced correctly. Number one, it's spices. I'm learning how spices work. And using some coatings that are not super healthy, but it's not like cornstarch. It's like using you know, more like whole panko stuff that doesn't have a bunch of processed things. And we're just talking about the such a little amount there. But yeah, even my wife was like, you know, I don't know what you're doing, but all of a sudden this stuff is like tasting unbelievable. And I'm like, I'm putting my life on the line to cook something that I like.
Man, that's really inspiring though. And I'm right there in the same place.
So air fryers are amazing. Like I'm trying to figure out how to do like oatmeal in there or anything. I don't know. It's like anything I can cook in there.
Baking cakes and shit in there.
Yeah. I used to always eat the just egg, and that's you know, a lot of processed stuff. It comes from mung beans. I
Yeah.
don't know what the percentage of mung bean to cornstarch or corn syrup is, but I figured out how to make that in like one of the ceramic, you know, the old school Corningwares that everyone had when they were a kid, that has like the little blue kind of flowery thing on it. You put Just Egg in the bottom of that and in the air fryer, and it comes out and it's like a perfect round egg
like
patty,
an egg disc,
egg McMuffin basically.
Dude,
that was like
you're getting me hungry.
That was one of my wife's favorite foods when we weren't vegans. We would go to like McDonald's and she's like, I gotta have egg McMuffin. Like every Saturday we'd get up early and go, and that's what she gets. So I can make them vegan now, and she's like, it's better. I don't know why.
I love it.
There's no murder and torture involved, so it makes it gooder.
And it hasn't been sitting under like a mild heat lamp for 6 days.
True, there's that too.
Right. I don't know, that the grease and everything though, it kind of like coagulates into the bread when it's been sitting on that lamp for a minute, and that.
Hey man, I eat you know, old French fries that were underneath my car seat for God knows how long. So
building that immune system.
That's right. Yeah. Anyway, I could talk for days about this. But sorry, I'm juggling here. I'm actually going to plug in my phone in case it starts to die. So apologies for all the
no worries.
Moving around.
If you need a break or anything, we could always. Now let's take a break. Here's a word from our sponsor.
Yeah, there you go. No, but anyway, sorry. And this may be boring to all, but I don't know, 6 people out there, you know, who are listening to this, but I was in the same way with the food. I was way too much into the processed vegan food, which tastes great, you know, but it, like you said, even, you know, think of it like as a non-vegan. You think it's okay to eat at McDonald's every day or fast food every day? No, it's not.
The one guy is eating 2 Big Macs every day. It weighs like 180 pounds. He's like 9 feet tall. I'm like,
oh, geez.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. I don't believe it.
Yeah, you're an anomaly. Getting by next.
Oh,
but yeah.
Going back, this ties into some questions here. So we do have a couple of questions we can throw out there. But I mean, you're covering a lot of stuff, so I don't have to say question number 36 from Guy Rossdale is, you know, you as doing my diligence and learning about you to talk and chat. You were part owner of a vegan bakery called Sticky Fingers. Like,
that's right.
Like,
and I'm very that's very proud part of my history, and Sticky Fingers still exists, which is great. They're in Washington DC, and you can find them on Instagram at Eat Sticky Fingers, I think is their handle. But yeah, so from 2000, I think it was the year 2000 until what year did I don't know, maybe 2010 or something. All right. Yeah, I think that I was involved with the bakery, and my business partner at the time, Duran, it was her idea, and she came up with the concept and everything, but she wanted to partner with somebody to actually open a storefront. And I remember saying, well, she approached me. We were friends, and you know, her husband worked for the Fund for Animals at the time, and now he works for HSUS. But it's all part of the animal scene, right? And me like being, I'm going to be smart about this. I'm like, well, can I see a business plan? And she brought me like one piece of paper with like, I don't know, a diagram. And I was like, okay, I'm in. And we were like classically undercapitalized as a startup, but man, it went over big. There was a need for it. There was a need at the time for, contrary to everything we've been talking about, how you can't eat junk food and you must be healthy, for like really good vegan sweets that didn't taste like a bran muffin or something, you know, and we were trying to fill that gap. And for us, it's always, you know, there's a mission behind what we were trying to do, of course, turn more people on to veganism by mainstreaming it. And we did that very well. Now, you know, I was not doing the baking. I did learn to cake decorate very well. But I did more of the administrative side of things, and of course worked in the storefront, and we had a really nice espresso machine, so I learned how to like make all the fancy coffee drinks and stuff. But but we were really popular with vegans and non-vegans alike because our
Right.
stuff tasted like, regular baked goods. And so anyway, but when I joined the band and decided to move back to California, it made sense for me to sort of divest myself of the bakery. But I'm so glad that Duran kept it going, and it's still going strong. And it's been on the Food Network, it's been on Cupcake Wars, and won, I think, a couple of times.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I'm very proud to have been a part of that. Go Sticky Fingers
Right on.
in Washington, D.C.
Do you think you're in sort of the vegan food capital of the world in LA? I imagine everything I see is there is vegan. Like, would you ever get back into something like that? Like a
Okay.
business or restaurant or
Interesting. You
bakery?
had 2 points to mention about that. First of all, when I first came back to California, dude, it was not a vegan mecca like you would think it would be. You
Really?
think like LA, California. I mean, sure, they had like the Good Earth restaurant from the 70s that had like a bean patty veggie burger, and they had some stuff, but I mean, it's really taken off in very recent years. It was not always like this. Shockingly so. I don't know, it was weird. Weird to me. Like for me, I thought Washington, D.C., the DC metro area, way more vegan friendly. And it probably had a lot to do with all the animal groups that were there.
Right. Sure.
So anyway, but yes and no. I swore to God I would never do another food related business. It's so hard. Like your inventory is so perishable, and if it doesn't sell, it's stale, or someone messes up a batch of cookies, effed. It's really hard. But what I am planning to do, and I've been thinking about it for a number of years and slowly kind of researching it, I want to open a cat cafe once my time with the Iron Maidens is done, and I'm no longer on the road, because I can't be on the road and start up a business, like that. So, but I want to open a local cat cafe in my community, which is so not cat cafe friendly at all, but I love the challenge because we do need a coffee shop here. And cat cafes are like catching on. They're like, oh, yeah, coffee shop. Hello, hook up. We serve Blackheart coffee. We'd be proud to do so.
I think
We'll talk more about that. But yeah. So as I don't want to get into a full-blown food business, but cafe offerings, maybe produced. There's a bakery also in town. Maybe I can get them doing some vegan stuff and they can make it. I don't want all of that overhead on me again,
Right.
But I could see, I do want to get a cafe going, a cat cafe.
Yeah, there's at least 3 of them here now in my area. And the big thing here, I don't know in California, but it's food trucks. So you just have a different vegan food truck there, every weekend for your adoption specials and stuff. I volunteer for the local
That's a great
shelter
idea
here. I'm also on a nonprofit, Friends of our local animal shelter. So I do a ton of like marketing and coming up with ideas. And I've always done that like for all my businesses. Like putting events together. I booked like festivals and stuff back in the day. And I always try to connect and network all my resources. So I know all the bands, I know food vendors, I know the animal rescuers, and I work with a bunch of sanctuaries and stuff.
Oh, that's great.
We were
That's
working
awesome.
we were working with Long Beach Animal Care Center because I had a friend of mine we just met randomly through internet, owned V Burger in Long Beach. It's a vegan burger place.
Yep.
Alex is one of the owners. They opened a vegan crepe breakfast place right next door, and we were supplying their coffee. But between COVID and all these other things happening, they ended up just refocusing on just the burger side, but they've leased out the breakfast side. So there's like a vegan bakery. You're probably an hour from Long Beach,
Oh, you know
probably,
what?
or
We play shows, yeah, I'm about an hour and a half
um,
without traffic from Long Beach. But when we play shows in Long Beach, pretty sure I've eaten at V Power, is it called?
V
It's like
Burger.
V Burger, and it's like a vegan fast food place, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
I
on Cherry Street in Long Beach.
Yep, I love it, and I love it so much. And this is how much I love it. I'm like, well, we're gonna be playing in Long Beach and later this year, but I'm supposed to be eating I'm not supposed to be eating all that stuff that I love. I probably won't get to go there. I'm all sad because I'm like thinking I shouldn't go there.
Yeah.
Not to anybody, but if you're a food addict like me, you probably shouldn't. But for the regular normal people, go there. It's awesome. It's
Yes.
amazing.
So their recent thing is Impossible Patty, cheese, vegan cheese, Beyond Patty, mac and cheese, some kind of like jackfruit barbecue, and then like a lettuce tomato, like it's crazy. I'm like, I could eat off of that for 4 or 5 days. And they're like, yeah, people custom order. They'll go in and be like, well, I want this, and just make whatever. But they're punk rockers. Alex is from the UK. Like he met his wife over there, and very hardcore oriented vibe to the place. Is awesome. But yeah, I again, it's one of those things where I see things and I'm like, oh wow, that's pretty interesting. Like maybe I'll start talking to this guy and figure out. I had one of his stickers, I think. No, it must have fell down. But like all my little amps and stuff, like I tried to put like little stickers and things there, and I had a couple from V Burger. I might have put it on my car. I can't remember. But like, yeah,
That's so
he sent
cool.
me a bunch of shirts, and I sent him a bunch of shirts, and he got us. We did a promotion for Long Beach Animal Care. We were trying to get a coffee going for them. Then I have a friend that's a singer, singer-songwriter that was in LA. We tried to get something going, but she's originally from Australia, and we did a coffee to promote the shelter, and then she went back to Australia for 6 months, and I was like, kind of hard to promote this when
You were left holding the bag.
literally across the country and the continent. So
Yeah.
but anything we can do, we try stuff. If it works, great. If not, no harm, no foul, as they say. We just sort of move in another direction. But yeah, I'm always trying to find partners to work with and things, and to help get awareness. We're working with All Friends Animal Vegan Sanctuary in Vegas now, and we do coffee for them, and we donate portions from other artists and stuff. So at some point, like I used to travel playing in the band and then doing trade shows. So I strategically looked at the map of the country back when I traveled. We traveled a lot more. And I was like, well, I want to put stuff of mine in parts of the country where I would go, because I want to feel
Yeah.
like more at home when I went there. So
Yeah.
I'm like, I used to build custom bikes. So I was a huge Long Beach Jesse James, fan. I was invited to, they used to have these huge parties every year, and I still have it framed somewhere. Like I got tickets where they invited us, my wife and I, to go to their big yearly party. But I'm like, I want something in Long Beach. I love Austin and Texas, and I want to have stuff in Texas. And I got, I know I got family in Las Vegas and on the East Coast, so I found all these places in Chicago, and just sort of reached out to people and was like, hey, this is what we do. We'd like to work with, a sanctuary or rescue or something in your area, and then also network. And then, like a band's playing, if they're like looking for something particular, I'm like, well, hey, go here because I know somebody, and you go there. And to me, it's so much better. You go someplace and you like know someone and they're expected.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you have this huge weight of like, oh man, I'm in a weird place. I don't know anybody. Like for me anyway, being kind of socially inept, but still traveling for either business or music. I just kind of like, well, I want to know people all over the country. Like I helped my friends get a house in Arizona because a buddy of mine's a realtor. and my friends were looking for a house, and I was like, I don't know if this was worth anything, but my buddy's a realtor, so if you want to talk to him, he might be able to help you with the house. And sure enough, he helped him get a house. So I was like,
Nice.
I just,
That's great.
if I know somebody that can help you, that's helped me, that I've helped, and it's just it's the whole networking thing. I like to do that, and I guess I'm good at it. So
Sounds like it.
we'll just keep doing that. Next question.
Yes, but seriously, we will talk. We will revisit this at some point.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't look at these things as like a one and done. Like I really feel like I think I could probably be friends with this person because they seem cool. Let me do a podcast with them and see what the deal is.
No, they were a total a-hole. Write them off.
I mean, so far I'm like batting 1,000. Like everybody's been super cool, and like we've learned a bunch of stuff, and it's everyone's inspired. Every single person. This is our eighth show. The Ocho. Like everybody we've talked to is like inspired me or given me an ideas or like help take me in next level with different things. Like I'm doing like smoothies now after we did like our first real interview with Simon McKay, the drummer he's from Montreal, Canada. He's like, oh man, I gotta do a smoothie. I gotta eat greens. And like every morning I make a smoothie. His voice is in my head from our podcast. He's like, you got to get your leafy greens, your spinaches, like his voice in my head. And I'm like making my thing, and his voice is like in my head. And I haven't told him. I need to like shoot him a message, be like, hey dude, your voice is like the rhythm in my head every morning, like making a smoothie. And it's like, something's
Become
wrong
a voice
with me.
of your conscience.
Yeah. And it's
a smoothie.
like both sides are like smoothies now.
No, eat the vegan sausage.
I went through the freezer. I'm like, we've got all this stuff. We haven't eaten it for like 2 months. Like, I guess we'll eat it at some point, but
yeah, I'm eating through our processed stuff and trying to not replace it. So that's where I'm at.
Right on.
80,
So do you, what's that?
The 80-20 rule. If you get everything right 80% of the time, the rest of the 20% doesn't matter too much. So have your vegan sausage every once in a while, but then get back on the 80%.
80s, high number. Who came up with that? That's
some smart guy. I don't know.
How about 65-35?
Well, we'll aim for 80-20. We'll work our way up.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? There's a bar here called 80-20 Bar. I guess I don't know. I guess it's the same concept. So get loaded 20% of the time. It's okay, I guess.
In theory.
All right. I need to see if they're still in business. It will be our first real world test of the theory. Or they changed their name to 60-40. I mean, 50-50 would be doable.
Yeah.
I think that's a good starting point, but I don't know. And as we segue into another section here on Sound the Grounds, so much food talk. One of the questions that you had mentioned, Nikki, earlier, she asked about who's your favorite Marvel character. We're big nerds here at Sounds and Grounds. Are you heavy on? Yeah.
Well,
I think so.
For me, it's Thor, but it's Fat Thor. Now I have to say, my love of Marvel, I'll fess up. I was not a comic book kid. I was not into comic books. I got into the MCU, the movies.
Sure.
And and then I completely nerded out. Used to drive Courtney crazy. But yeah, I really love Fat Thor in Endgame. It's brilliant. And you know what? Chris Hemsworth, I mean, he actually in Ragnarok and I think in Infinity War too, he did some like amazing comic abilities. He's a really funny actor.
Yeah. We did, my wife and I were extras in the Ghostbusters, the third one that kind of bombed, that had all the Saturday Night Live actresses in it. He was in that. and he is so fucking funny, man. Like,
Hey man, F-bomb.
Hey, now we all three got one.
all right, right. Yeah. Oh, he earned it. Oh my god. Like where he's got the glasses and he's like, no, I just like there's no lenses in his glasses. It's just like the whole deal. It's like no wonder most people love this guy. He's like crazy handsome and he's funny as shit. Like I had
Yeah.
no idea. And it's just like, wow. He pulls it off. It's great, but
He does,
yeah,
he does. And you know, this is where I like totally would nerd out. And it's so funny because like anyone who'll nerd out with me, I'll be like, oh, remember the time? And then we'll do like scene enactments and stuff. But I just love it in Endgame, how he switches from comedy to like profound sadness when the Hulk and Rocket find him, you know, in New Asgard, and
right.
he's like, you know, and you know, like they're like, hey man, we really need you, and you know, he's sitting there, he's like, nope, not gonna do it, not gonna do it. And then Rocket's like, there's beer on the ship, and he's like, what kind, you know, and there's tears in his eyes and stuff, and it was just like, God, that's Academy Award winning stuff right there.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's like nobody else could pull off any of that. Like I'm sure Fat Thor was a thing Universal, but of course for me, I'm like, I invented Fat Thor. Like, no, everybody calls it Fat Thor, but it's like it's believable. Like you're never like that's Chris Hemsworth in a fat suit. It's like
right. It's done very well.
You know, all
very
these critics that like, you know, have bad vibes towards like MCU and comic cinema. It's like you don't watch these things. You're just a talking head that's judging something because it's like the flavor of the month is to be on the outskirts and like judge this thing and be against it. It's like you don't watch these things to see how much like craft, the acting craft and
absolutely.
the not lyrics, the dialogue and you know the screenwriting and everything in these movies is like epic. Like they deserve every dollar that they make entertaining people with these movies, which that's what they're supposed to be doing, you know.
Absolutely. My husband turned me on to all of these movies, and I think we started with Iron Man with you know, Robert Downey Jr. and I watched it. I was like, oh my God, because I always thought like, I know all the true Marvel comic book people are going to be like, boo, hiss, because I was always like, comics,
the comic gatekeepers.
yeah, the comic police. But because I always thought like comics, like that sounds stupid. Like how could that be entertaining? And I always thought they were like shitty adult cartoons. Like, is anyone old enough to remember a cartoon called like Apartment 3G or something? It was like back in when we were kids and you'd read the funnies on Sunday, there was like a comic that was more like for adults. I don't know, it was just like boring and stupid and it was just whatever. So I always thought like comic books, that just sounds stupid. So then, but when I saw Iron Man, the movie, and I was like, what? First of all, amazing story. Second of all, I love how they've created a context where it's all plausible. It's not just like, here comes a man in an Iron Man suit. No, I mean, it was just the whole context, the whole character of Tony Stark. It was like, it was believable. It was believable. And it was so well executed. So well executed. Everybody in that film, amazing. It's just
and
so good. And so that got me going on it.
Yeah. And just to add, because I'll forget if I don't mention it, in like Civil War and things with Captain America, where they circle back to Tony Stark and how he grew up. And it was like, you know, Howard, his father, you know, was the bar he was judged against was always Steve Rogers.
Exactly. That scene, he goes, oh, really? You knew my dad? Oh, you just told me that 1,000 times all the time. Like,
right. Yeah, you know, like the only thing special about you came out of a bottle. That it's like that line. It's like, how can you not see the cinematic beauty of like these lines? And Robert Downey Jr., like nobody else could be Tony Stark. Like that's it.
No.
Why are you even
you got to wonder how much ad-libbing and improvising are done in these films, because some of the comic lines are just, you're like, oh, come on, no one wrote that.
Right,
See,
right.
that was so good. It was so in the moment, believable, natural, just everything
Yeah,
in my
like
husband
I do the line. I'll stay on topic but off topic. Like I say the lines. Like every time I put coffee grounds in my garbage disposal, it's like, what is this? Bread and breakfast for bikers. Right, right,
yeah,
right. Like it's like I'm saying the
coffee
line.
grounds
It's like,
disposal.
yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. I think he ad-libbed that part. I'm pretty sure. I think I saw like a behind the scenes, and it's like
You
genius,
know,
man,
and
genius.
that's what makes him brilliant. And because you're right, like what writer would be like, yeah, let's put a comment in where he notices coffee grounds in the garbage disposal. No one's going to think of that when you're writing a script,
Right.
but it's perfect. It's so
Yeah.
perfect. I love it. Yeah. And my husband and I, like, that's how we communicate. We just talk in Marvel movie line quotes, everything.
Yeah. I'm like all movie line quotes, so not just
Yeah.
MCU. It's whatever
Oh,
I've
okay.
been
Well,
watching.
yeah, that's true because we do a lot of Raising Arizona quotes too.
Oh, absolutely. Like I'll send pictures to my wife, and it's where Holly Hunter's like, I love him so much. Like I'll
Oh,
send her a picture of one of the cats, and it's like, I love him so much, and it's like laugh her scene. Yeah, I mean, it's all classic
we do
things.
the exact same thing for our cats. We'll screen grab like a meme where she's like,
Yeah,
or
I
whatever.
might have something recent that I
Yeah,
did.
like,
That's so funny. It's awesome. Like I don't
yeah,
know.
that's what we do. It's always about the cats. It's always because of a cat. Yeah.
It's we're all one experiencing this universe separately, but these things that connect people are like
I
pretty
know.
amazing to come across, you know.
Yeah.
I'm probably like not even I'm off subject. Oh well, no, that wasn't about cats. That was a quote from Parks and Rec I sent the other day because
Oh,
somebody was ill, so I used a line from Parks and Rec. But yeah, I don't know. I think when you're artistic and creative, at some point, these things resonate, and so
yeah.
you find it easier to communicate with like quoting other things, and the meme language, you know, has
Oh yeah. Oh
its own
yeah.
separate podcast about that.
Right?
The awkward pause.
Oh,
Well,
I thought I froze or something.
oh,
Oh, you guys, you know what? I do that on stage though, for one of our songs.
you
The
forgot
song
lyrics.
Iron Maiden.
Oh,
No, but there's a break, like a break in the song Iron Maiden, and
and it's
before it
got
kicks back in
the
here.
little fill thing.
Yeah, but we yes, exactly. But we've kind of done this little thing where we'll just stop, and everyone's like, they wait a beat, and then they're like, the audience sing, what are they waiting for? Like cheers, and they're like, yeah, and then it dies down, and then I'll tell everyone I just love awkward silences, and then we just
Right.
stand there and look at everybody, and it's like it truly is awkward. It's truly awkward, and then we carry on. But yeah, all
That
about the
could be
awkward
your first original song. Awkward
awkward
pause.
silences. Yeah,
Awkward
awkward pause.
silence.
I have contributed on some originals before with my first band. We were a cover band, but we did come up with some originals, which weren't too bad actually. But people say to me, like, do you ever want to work on original material? And I'm always like, hey, you know what? I do not have a inner burning songwriter in me.
Hmm.
I really don't. I enjoy doing what I do. I guess I'm more of an entertainer, call it that
Right.
then. I think David Lee Roth once called himself, not comparing myself to David Lee Roth, but he called himself, he was an entertainer, is that was what but I love doing what I do. I can come up with some funny song lyrics. And if I were to do originals, they'd be in the vein of Tenacious D, just like parodying
Oh,
fun shit.
hell yeah. That would
Um,
be amazing.
That's the way my brain works. Those are the kind of lyrics I come up with. Just dumbass,
Do you
stupid
have
stuff.
do you have like the Tenok tattoo on one cheek, and then you got to
Right?
find the HSD tattoo
I was
someone else.
obsessed with that movie for a long time, and the soundtrack. I would just,
Yeah.
I knew every word of every song, every nuance. But
One of the
yeah,
picks, I have one of the picks of Destiny. Like
oh, do you?
my wife gets, we both play guitar, but if she's ever somewhere in there for sale, she'll like buy it. So I've got like 5 of them, like
Oh,
random all
that's
over the
cool.
house.
That's awesome.
So, I mean, do you have, so the Iron Maidens, if people don't know, are pretty much the breeding ground for like amazing guitar players. So many, like I could go down the laundry list of names. People can Google it. Everyone kind of knows like who's been in the band.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it's kind of like, do people look at it maybe as like a stepping stone, or you think not everybody's content doing tribute bands and want to do more original stuff? What's your take on that?
I don't think anyone comes into it and is like, oh, this is a stepping stone. I'll just do this until I launch my career into the stratosphere. Um, you know, I think just life circumstances pull people in different directions, and sometimes that has to do with their musical career. And we, have always, as a band, and we are always so proud and so happy for any band member to just spread their wings and do what they got to do. You know what I mean? Like, of course, most recently with Courtney, because I know there were questions about that. To answer, the burning questions, of course, I miss Courtney on stage and off stage. She's a riot. We had such good times on stage, laughing, and her playing is phenomenal. And I miss her dearly as a bandmate and as a friend, but she's still a friend, of course. But me and the whole band, as sorry as we were to see her, formally leave, we're so happy for her spreading her wings, doing what she wants to do. And honestly, like the three older of us, the old crones in the band, we're all like, am so amazed and impressed that, Courtney, for example, was in the band for, well, 14 years. She joined just a few months before I did. To have someone like that stay in our band that long, and she had offers many times over the years for other projects and high profile projects and tours and bands and so forth. And she wasn't ready, or she wanted to stay with the Maidens. And we all feel grateful that we had her for that long. Same with Nikki. And Nikki also has had plenty of opportunities to, leave and do other high profile things. And I'm just so happy, we all are, that she's able to do her other things and still stay in the Maidens full time. She has her solo career. She literally is just releasing her first full length album.
Right on.
And she
That's
also
awesome.
played in Heaven Below, an all original project. But knock on wood, and I'm doing that. She's not going anywhere that we know of anytime soon.
Right.
And so we're because they're youngins, they're young, great guitar players. So it would make sense that they're not going to want to just stay in a tribute band forever. Of course not. So as sad as it is to see someone leave, we're always happy for them. And Courtney is still a friend and a sister, and always will be. So
Yeah, I see she's very much a cat person too, so she's got that for the rest of her life. So
oh yeah, I love her even though she hates Marvel. That is a huge character flaw, but I'm willing to look
ooh,
past it. Yeah, I'm willing to look past it.
yeah, I guess I don't know. So is she like a DC freak, or she's just something
No.
that she's just not into comics at all? She just hates
Yeah.
Marvel.
Yeah, she just hates me obsessively talking about Marvel. So
Uh,
I may have poisoned the well there.
Right.
that's a different situation.
Right? Okay. Well,
That's all right. It is what it is.
and I
You
will say
just
too, even though I said, Courtney and I we always crack each other up on stage, and I miss that. But also, I am still cracking up on stage all the time. With the rest of my band, we all are having fun together, laughing, whatever little stupid inside joke or something funny that we were talking about before the show, or whatever it's going on, we're always laughing, and I'm always turning to Nikki and laughing, and she's laughing, and Linda laughing. Wanda's more serious, I will give her that.
Yeah,
Wanda's
she
I love
definitely.
Wanda.
Well,
She's more serious.
if you watch Maiden, she kind of has more the Adrian Smith. Like he's like the one, like when they did funny videos and stuff back in the day, he was always the one that's like serious playing the song. He's not having fun. He's doing the song. That's his thing. She's having fun, but yeah, I don't think she's. And I
She's
don't mean
not
this
goofy.
insulting. She's not a clown. She's not clowning
Right.
around. You know.
Right. She is having fun. She loves what she does. She does a great job, but she's not a goofball. And well, I am like goofball number one, and the other girls get pretty goofy. I need people to be goofy with me. I
Yeah,
can't even imagine being in a band where other people weren't goofy.
it's
It
like a
wouldn't even.
party. You don't go to a party and not laugh and have a good time and cut up and stuff. It's
Oh yeah, absolutely. I laugh all the time, to the point sometimes where it impinges on my ability to sing a little bit, because I'm like,
that's when
whatever
you
is.
like put the mic out in the audience, like, let me hear it.
And I've done
Scream
that.
for me, Utah.
Oh, there's always a good scream for me. Absolutely. You can always use that. But there's been times where I've put the mic out, like for example, if I forgot something,
Yeah.
and as soon as the mic's in somebody's face, it's crickets. And then they shut up. But it's all right.
It's even better when it's not and they sing something really bad.
Oh, right. Yes. Then you don't know who you're more embarrassed for, them or yourself or whatever, but
We
all laughy.
a little
And
bit.
you're like, here, a shot for you. Good job.
Yeah.
Yeah. We used to do that like when we were kind of more in the local circuit a while, and like when people started learning the songs, we're like, put the mic out, and then like it got to a point where we'd see
Like, oh,
videos
take that
back,
right back.
we'd hear somebody just going like,
Yeah.
and we're like, okay, we should stop doing that.
Yeah, right. And that's happened to me before too. Yeah. Where having people sing along and you're like, ooh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna retract that microphone. Yeah.
Especially like when you like see a video of it later and like suddenly the chorus is ruined because someone's like
Or
like
how about nowadays, with everybody has their phone and they're always recording. And oftentimes they're singing along while they're holding their phone at a live show. And then the recording that they put up there, it's mostly them that you hear singing. And sometimes it doesn't sound very good. And you're like, oh
drives me
God, I hope
nuts.
people realize that's not me.
That drives me crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, that's so awesome. But hey, you know what? They're having fun in that moment, and it's probably you may have made their day, week, month, year, fill in the blank. So as long as everybody's laughing near them and not at them, like it's totally fine.
Right. Oh, for sure. For sure. It's all
But
good nature.
not everybody can be in an Iron Maiden tribute band. Sorry, especially singing Bruce Dickinson parts. I'm sorry, you just can't. That's next level to do it correctly.
I will say being a woman makes it easier, right?
Sure.
Um,
Yeah.
but so the stuff that's the hardest for me is the real
Right.
low.
Sure.
That's a bit of a challenge. I always cringe a bit when we do Fear of the Dark, the kind of, well, the low parts in the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I am always like, I think it's hard not to be pitchy. It's out of my range.
Yeah. I mean, do you ever feel like sort of? I know you're not wanting to be a original artist per se, but like sometimes do you change things around, or you try to be like album, like I got to be as close to Bruce's pitch and tone and as much as possible, or do you sometimes like do you ever like I haven't seen anything we've sort of changed it up, but is that ever in your mind like, well, maybe I could do, because your range, you have so many influences. I've seen everything from Heart being an influence to you,
Yeah.
and all the 80s, maybe Pat Benatar, like that kind of thing.
Sure.
um you know it, are you just you're 100% sold on Bruce Chickinson? Like I gotta nail this, or is
Yeah,
there
I have to
any
say, man,
gray area?
that's why I'm in a tribute band. In my mind, well, I want to sound exactly like Iron Maiden. Uh, and so I do, and I feel like I will try to, I will, I will try to sing the way it is on the record. Now, some of the stuff, it kind of depends, like what I cut my teeth on. Like for example, a lot of the live after death stuff. Um, I will, or like the way Bruce covers some of the earlier material that Paul Diano sang. Sometimes I'll sing it the way Bruce sings it now rather than
Mm.
the way Paul sings it on the album.
Mm.
I don't know. Just depends what I heard first and what I got used to. And I have a more of an affinity for Bruce's vocal style, say, than Paul's.
Sure.
As great as Paul is, it's a different style of singing. But
Right.
that said,
You're not
I was
playing the first, 2 albums. You're not Paula Diano. You're Bruce Chickinson.
right. I'm Bruce Dickinson. There you go.
And
But I
I
will
think
say,
people are used to hearing Bruce's version. Not sorry, just his version of the
yeah,
older like R&B stuff off the first album. Like people my
to
age in
some
their
degree,
40s,
yeah.
it's like I'd rather hear Bruce's version. It's just I cut my teeth. Like my first CD I ever got was Live After Death. So I grew up technology wise listening to Iron Maiden live and sounding amazing in Long Beach of all places. So
All right.
everything's cyclical with that. But I think like you said, you want to sound like Bruce. That's what your job is as well as what you
That's what I
personally like.
aspire to.
Your standard is like Bruce Dickinson. So this is where the
I
bar is.
aspire. Yeah, I try. I try. Even though, and what, I respect this about other people sometimes, who I hear covering Maiden, like women, for example. And I'll be like, what am I trying to say? They're a really good singer. This woman, let's say, great singer, but doesn't make me think Iron Maiden, but yet she's doing it her way. I kind of admire that because, like, for me, I don't even know what my true, like, natural, not that singing in Iron Maiden is unnatural for me. I don't even know what my voice sounds like.
Mm.
My husband just said Barbara Streisand. I wish, honey, that's why I love you. I'm actually wearing my Barbara Streisand
Yeah,
t-shirt.
I was trying to figure
Yeah.
out. It's like, is it
Yeah.
like the Go-Go's? What's she wearing? Like,
No, no,
Barbra
it's
Streisand.
Barbara in her many phases. I love Barbara Streisand. Her voice is so metal. We can talk about that too. But I think that other people, I don't know, because they have a good voice and they just do it in their own style. I don't know what my voice is. I'm like, I want to hear it the way it was on the record. And if I go to hear a tribute band, I want to hear it as close to the tribute, as close to the original,
Right,
the
right.
artist. And so, like, I'm the third singer in the Iron Maidens, the third and the, God help it, the last,
The last.
um,
Third
but
time's
I've
the
been in the
charm.
right? I've been in the band the longest. The other,
Right on.
like the singer who preceded me, great vocalist, really good. When I would hear her singing though, it didn't make me think Iron Maiden.
Mm.
She had a little bit more of like an R&B style, which I couldn't do. But she, like I said, had a really good voice. It's just different. So for me, I just want to sound like the record as much as I can.
Right, right.
I want to sound like a real artist.
So like what do you listen to like driving around in your car? Like what's the last thing you had? Like do you listen to
Would you believe
CDs
me if
or MP3s?
okay, you want to know the last thing I was listening to? And my
Yeah.
husband will totally roll his eyes. Duran. I love Duran.
Oh yeah. So here's my question. This is a two-parter. It was a setup. I
Yeah.
apologize. But so when you're in your car, you're singing Simon Le Bon. Are you singing it like Bruce Dickinson? Or are you trying to sound like Simon Le Bon? Like what's
I'm
your
trying, you know what? That's the tribute singer in me. I'm trying to sound like Simon Le Bon.
awesome? That's incredible.
I don't know. I'm a parrot. I was like born to be a tribute band singer.
Yeah,
What can I
that's so
say?
cool.
I such an
I'm trying to.
underappreciated talent though. Like there's
Oh,
it's one thing, like you said, like there are a lot of people that can sound pretty good and do things in their own way and it's cool. And then there's like a really unique, like subsection of the top 1% of people that you know as soon as they sing a note that it's exactly that person, or guitar
Yeah,
players like Zach Wild. I always use it as an
sure.
example. Like he plays one note and you're like, that's Zach Wild. But then there's like people that can really match, like in a way that makes you feel the same way. The style of another person is so underappreciated. Like I think
I
that's
agree.
like such a difficult thing to do convincingly.
Have you, I'm sure you have, there's videos out there like on YouTube, and I forget the guy's name. I think there's two different guys I've seen, and he'll like sing one song and like do it in the voice of 10 different metal singers, and
Yeah.
including Bruce Dickinson. And like everyone, you're like, damn, the guy nails it.
He'll do
He
like
has
Run
that
to the Hills
ability.
in the style of Michael Jackson or something like
Yeah, I
that.
mean,
Really
it's
crazy
just,
Right.
it is impressive.
Yeah,
It
it's
is impressive.
like a voice actor on steroids times 1,000 that can mimic a voice and then sing and be in key and pitch correctly and get all the nuances. Yeah, like
Right.
Jack
Because
hit it on
there's
the
so
head.
much.
That's like underappreciated as F. Like, wow, there's amazing.
There's so much that goes into making somebody sound. I'm sure, as with the guitar, the tone, it's in the fingers. Same thing with a voice. There's just different, I don't know all the terminology, the timbre and the pitch and the blah 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 blah. It's yeah, it's a lot
Right.
to nail.
And to quote Adrian Jack Singer's, like, your instrument is two little flaps of skin that are just basically doing all the work. It's the human vocal cord and just our voices in general are just so amazing. Like I don't think people quite understand the tool that we have and utilize it. Like, you don't use your brain but 1%, and I don't think we use our voices but like 1% also.
I know, there's so much is possible, I believe, because I'm not a naturally good singer. What I am able to do now, I would say, is due to taking voice lessons. And I liken it to, like, if I wanted to be, I mean, sure, you're not gonna take someone who royally just sucks and turn them into Christina Aguilera or somebody like that, but there's a wide range of improvement that is possible through training. And I think that's the same with like anything, with tennis, with whatever sport, or you do. If you seek out a coach and you practice,
mm,
you will improve greatly.
yeah.
So yeah, and that helped me a lot, a whole lot. And again, that's Steve Whiteman, you know.
Yeah, the practice is like the talent multiplier. Like everybody's born with whatever they're born with, and
Yeah,
I'll take a little bit of talent multiplied times 100 than a lot of talent multiplied by 3.
that's an excellent point. That is so true. It is in the practice. My hat is off to those people that never need to take a voice lesson or warm up or practice. I am not that person. And yeah, a lot to be said for practicing.
So do you have a regiment? That was one of the questions.
Yeah.
Tying that in is
Yeah.
like what's your warm up? Do you have like a ritual kind of thing? Do you have like a favorite drink? Do you take like a shot of something, or like
No,
what's kind of your
well,
pre-show warm
I
up?
mean, okay, here's the reality. To have a good show, it's needed to start at least 24 hours before, with ideally getting enough sleep and enough water hydration. Because I can warm up forever before the show, and if I'm missing those two elements, I still might have a problem. I might crack somewhere or something. My voice might start to sound hoarse. It makes all the difference in the world for me, and for I think a lot of singers, is sleep, ample sleep.
Sure.
And I mean, anyone knows that if you've been up all night, your voice sounds kind of husky or a little bit hoarse the next day. So let's say you started with that, you're good, you're sleeping, you've been drinking enough water, and lots of times that is not the case for me. I'm lacking in one or both. But then ideally, I I need to do a vocal warm up, and I do have a set routine that I do. And again, I learned this from Steve Whiteman. Now he always does it into a folded towel so that it's not really loud and annoying for everyone around him. I don't do that because it'll mess up my lipstick. So, yeah. Anyway, so I just make these loud, I do scales, I do weird little, it's mostly all scales and different things. Some in the falsetto, some, as low as I can go, different breathing things, trying to make sure my diaphragm is warmed up so you can really like, because that's what's driving all of it is your diaphragm. And yeah, I really ideally would warm up for like a good 15 or 20 minutes minimum. Do I do that every time? Hell no. A lot. Sometimes I'm like, or I just didn't budget my time right or whatever. And I'm like, and then a lot of time, and then I'll feel like I'll get stronger as the set goes on, and like the latter third, I'll feel like, I'm firing on all four pistons now. Sometimes going out, I don't feel like I'm firing on all four pistons. But as far as taking a drink, well, I know that's not helping my vocal cords, but sometimes you just like to. And we call it the world's greatest singer juice because if you're having an off night, maybe, there's been times when I had a
I'm
horrible
writing that
cold.
down.
Yeah, world's greatest singer juice, because you'll take a shot of something and in your mind you're like, oh, I am sounding so good. Whether or not you are, you probably are not, but you think you sound good. It's of course, that's what it is for all drunk people. You always have way more confidence than is due. You have way more confidence than you should. So we call it world's greatest singer juice. And sometimes I will say, for all the years I've been doing this, and I don't get stage fright, but oftentimes when I come out on stage, and if there's bright lights in my face, and I'll feel like a little bit like self-conscious, like it's hard to, I'm not quite in it yet. You know what I mean? I'm like, I feel awkward. I'm noticing things like, ooh, I just tripped over that, or the light's blinding me, or, oh God, my pants are unbuttoned. Is my fly down? I'm thinking all this stuff. My head isn't in this right space.
Right.
And
Shot. Time for a shot.
yeah, but you know what? So world's greatest singer juice totally helps with that. But even if you don't,
that is going on a t-shirt, by the way. So I was writing that down.
There you
So
go. All right, it's all yours, baby. You can have it. But
I'll send you the
regardless,
first one. You'll get the first one.
I would love that. I would love that. But regardless, even if I've had a drink or not had a drink, by the second, third, fourth song, I'm into full silly mode. I'm relaxed, whatever, I'm having a good time. But yeah, but the drink can help sort of get you into relaxed, silly mode faster than otherwise.
Sure, it just breaks that edge off sometimes.
Yeah.
We always would do it. We would just have one as a band. When I was in a band, we would just have the celebratory. We're gonna have a good show. We're having fun. When you're in a band and you actually like the people, you drink with them and hang out and stuff, and it was always like Jaeger. We would always have a little Jaeger shot, and it was like no alcohol during the show, but then afterwards, towards the end, whatever. But I don't know. It just, everybody does the thing that works for them, and it's cool. It's judgment-free zone, but it just, we didn't even do it to drink. It just became a ritual. So it's like, well, some people wear the same socks on stage. Some people don't wear socks and wear the same nasty shoes they've never washed, whatever their ritual is. It's that world's greatest fill in the blank, that one thing that kind of puts you in that spot.